Merkley. So, Senator, I would say that Merrick Garland's had a difficult time in the Senate these days. What impact has the Senate Republican unprecedented obstructionism had on both the Senate and the court as democratic institutions? And as you all know, even before the Scalia family publicly released the news of his death, Mitch McConnell was on the floor saying he would get no hearing or no vote. And fortunately, we've got Senator Merkley here to explain what's happening and what the implications are for the future.
Well, the implication is profound. And by the way, how are you all doing? Thank you for coming to this discussion later in the day here. And this is such an important issue, and it plays directly into the challenge we face in the presidential campaign. But think about this situation. Our founders wrote a constitution, and they wanted 3 co-equal branches. They said, well, how are we going to put various checks and balances into place? Well, over here we have the executive branch, and there'll have to be appointments for that executive branch, and the judicial branch, and there'll have to be appointments to that. Where should the appointments come from? Well, maybe they should come from the assembly, they said, in the House or the Senate. And they thought, well, you know, if that happens, there'll be a lot of horse trading back and forth, my friend for your friend, no direct accountability to the public, it won't be transparent. So no, we will vest responsibility for a nomination in a single person. That single person will need to be the president. And they thought, well, but what happens if you have a president who goes off track? A president who appoints folks who are unqualified either by experience or by character. We have to have some way of making sure that doesn't happen. So as Hamilton related, the conversation was about the Senate would be a check on a nominee of unfit character. That was the term, unfit character. Is this person qualified or unqualified? But to do that, you have to have the Senate vet the record and vote. Vet and vote. That's what we do. That's our job. That's been our job throughout the 200 years. And suddenly, we have, for the first time ever, a Senate leadership that says, no, we're not going to do our job. We're not going to vet the candidate. We're not going to vote on the candidate. We're just going to sit on our hands. Well, this is enormously destructive. This abdication of responsibility. Now, we saw a little bit of this, actually, we've seen a lot of it at lower levels, failing to rapidly and responsibly vet and vote on nominees for the executive branch or justices on the lower court. But we've never seen it at the Supreme Court level. So it's a whole new phase, this most important court. Now, why wouldn't McConnell and friends simply hold hearings, vet the candidate, and vote? And the answer is probably best summed up by a comment from Senator Hatch, who had said previously, if only the president would nominate someone like Merrick Garland, then we'd have somebody we could support. And so they don't have a reason in terms of qualifications to vet and vote no, and they don't want to be accountable for basically personally voting against somebody who's qualified. So they're just going to, man, what you have to understand is this is court packing. This is an effort to delay the nomination to a Republican president who will nominate someone from the far right to pack the court. And I must say, I don't think the media in America have done their job to portray how destructive this is to the integrity of the court and how wrong it is what Mitch McConnell and his folks who have signed up, pledged themselves to the Constitution, to the responsibilities of being a U.S. Senator, and are abdicating that responsibility. And we need to say to them, and the media says to them, and the grassroots need to say to them, do your job. So let's tell them that, and let's force them to act. But meanwhile, back to your core question, it does a tremendous amount of damage to the Senate because it's failing its responsibility. The Senate is using its advice and consent power to not maintain 3 co-equal branches, but to try to systematically undermine the executive branch, war on the president through the nominations, and now to pack the courts. So it is doing damage
all the way around, and it's completely unacceptable.
Thank you. And we will come back to you in a few minutes.